Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to today's Seminole County Board of County Commissioners meeting. If you would, just have a seat, and I will call this morning's meeting to order. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to call to order the Board of County Commissioners meeting of Tuesday, December 13th at 9:30, and I would like to welcome Pastor Lynch from the East Coast Believers Church to lead us in an invocation this morning and then lead us all in the pledge. Would you all rise?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hey, I want to thank everybody for this beautiful plaque that you guys gave my church. Thank you. And let's bow our heads and go before the Lord this morning. Father, we come before you this day to pray for our county government. We pray that these leaders and their families would be strengthened by you, and that they would be given wisdom and strategy to make the best decisions for the people, the families, the schools, and the businesses of Seminole County. I pray for unity among them, supporting each other through good times and bad, supporting each other when they may not agree, and standing together when people try to divide them, Lord. As we end this year and look forward to 2023, I pray that you would give them all a special blessing this morning to withstand and overcome any challenge they might come their way. At a time where people are divided, give them the boldness to stand up for what is right, making the best decisions they can for this county. At a time where people want to tear down, Father, give them strength to look to you to help them build up. We believe this morning that nothing is impossible for those who believe. And I pray that all great things will come from this group of people, that they would build a legacy and be remembered not for their mistakes, but for their wisdom, their resolve, their boldness, and hard work in what they are about to do. Bless them this day, in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Lynch. We have just one proclamation this morning that I've asked Commissioner Herr to read for us. It's honestly probably one of the most meaningful proclamations that we have that comes before this board.
Thank you, Chairman. Commissioners, I move the following proclamation of the Seminole County Board of County Commissioners recognizing United States Air Force Senior Master Sergeant William Jacobs for his outstanding service to the United States and Seminole County. There is a glare here, so I cannot see it. Whereas the brave men and women of our Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard, and Space Force demonstrate a resolute spirit and unmatched selflessness, reminding us there are few things more American than giving of ourselves to make a difference in the lives of others. And whereas throughout our country's history, generations of service members have answered the call to leave their families, their jobs, and put their futures and even their lives on the line to valiantly defend our nation. And whereas, for many service members, the sacrifices ended in permanent injury or death, yet their spirit remains in the continued preservation of our freedoms and the promise of liberty. And whereas there are more than 30,000 living veterans in Seminole County who served our nation in times of peace and war, by their service, they kept America strong. And whereas Senior Master Sergeant William Jacobs, being raised in Seminole County, enlisted with the Air Force in December of 1960 and rose through the ranks to Senior Master Sergeant, he officially retired in June 1981, completing nearly 21 years of military service. And whereas Senior Master Sergeant William Jacobs worked as an electrician while serving in Vietnam, the highlight of his career was being the electrical superintendent at Clark Air Force Base, Philippines. Throughout his career, he earned various medals, including the Air Force Commendation Medal with 3 Oak Leaf Cluster, Air Force Good Conduct Medal with 5 Oak Leaf Cluster, and the Vietnam Service Medal. And whereas Senior Master Sergeant William Jacobs retired from the Air Force and began working at the James A. Haley Veterans Hospital in Tampa. He also worked as an electrical and mechanical designer at the Orlando Naval Training Center until its closure in April of 1999. In 2005, he began working at Jim's Logging and Land Clearing in Geneva, where he again retired in 2014. Throughout the years, he has assisted homeless veterans through the Elks Lodge, the Veterans of Foreign War Organization, the Disabled American Veterans Organization, and the American Legion in Seminole County. And whereas Senior Master Sergeant William Jacobs has brought great credit and distinction upon himself, the United States of America, the United States Air Force, and Seminole County. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that we, the Board of County Commissioners of Seminole County, Florida, express our gratitude, admiration, and respect for Senior Master Sergeant William Jacobs for his outstanding service to the United States Air Force and residents of Seminole County. Be it further proclaimed that this proclamation is presented to Senior Master Sergeant William Jacobs, along with our sincere congratulations and recognition as Seminole County's Veteran of the Month, adopted this 13th day of December, 2022.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Sergeant Master Jacobs, would you please come down to the front, bring your family members through?
Congratulations.
She's in charge. Would you like to say a few words?
I would like to say good morning to everybody and thank you for this proclamation. It means a lot to me. I think I served my country well, and I enjoyed it while I was doing it. I'd like to thank the county for having a program that supports the veterans, and I'd like to thank y'all for all y'all do for veterans. Y'all have enacted a lot of things as far as taxes and everything that helps the veterans out after they retire. So I'd like to thank you all, and y'all have a good day.
Thank you.
Sir.
Our next presentation is from a group of students from Seminole High School. Their teacher, Chris Cole, is here with us today as well. They are going to be presenting their petition, essentially, to make the scrub jay the Florida state bird. And so Mr. Cole, or whichever one of the students would like to...
They're better spoken than I am.
Understood. Sometimes they are. Welcome. If you would introduce yourself.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. My name is Caitlin Naraki. I'm one of the presidents and one of the founders of the Wildlife Club at Seminole High School. We're talking to you today about a little about our club, our current projects, and our past projects, and also why we want the scrub jay to be our state bird. In the past, we have met with multiple state officials, some of those being Jason Broder. We met with the Deputy Chief of Staff for Governor DeSantis, Anna DeCercio, and many others that we've Skyped, met with in person and whatnot. We've also presented at an FWC meeting all the way in Tampa. Some of our members drove up to Tampa for that, and it was a really fun experience. We've also been on an NPR radio broadcast. We have our own podcast with Cast and Blast. So that's a little bit about what we've done in the past. And currently, we're working on a press release partnering with the Center for Biological Diversity. Some of us drove up to St. Pete and had a meeting with them, and we agreed to do a press release. So now we're working on that with them, which is really awesome. We are also working on, we have an interview with Orlando Sentinel tomorrow after school, and they are also going to do a press release on us, which is awesome. And we are just working on getting ourselves out there and getting the campaign out there since the House bill is back on the floor. And that's it for me right now, so I will have our next member come up and start our campaign.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Campbell, and so today I would just like to formally introduce you to the scrub jay, the bird that has captivated our hearts. So the Florida scrub jay is a 12-inch crested jay, completely lacking in the white tip, wing, and tail feathers that are commonly found in the more known blue jay. They are sedentary, permanently territorial, cooperatively breeding birds with an expected lifespan of about 15 years. These non-migratory birds nest in scrub habitats found only in Florida. They spend virtually all their lives in these scrub habitats, and they do not move out of there for their entire life, so they only are found in Florida. Their diet consists mostly of acorns, insects, and small amphibians. They are also considered to be highly intelligent birds, being able to remember where they have planted their acorns months after first hiding them. It is no wonder that Dr. John Fitzpatrick, who has dedicated a life of research to the Florida scrub jays, consistently visits the Central Florida area at least once a year to meet them in person. A scrub jay can be found living in family groups with a monogamous breeding pair and helper birds. These helper birds are normally the former progeny of the monogamous breeding pair from the previous season, meaning that the younger siblings of these birds help their parents raise the new birds. These helpers are also known to act in the role of a sentinel, with these birds keeping watch of their area and keenly alerting their family when there are any predators in the area. This distinctive nature of the bird sets them apart from the majority of other birds in the Central Florida area and highlights their uniqueness even more.
Hi everyone, my name is Emily Cummings, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the economic benefit of our scrub jay. Since this beautiful bird is found only in Florida, it attracts bird watchers worldwide. According to National Geographic, birding contributes $41 billion to the U.S. economy, and it contributes $15 billion just spent in travel. To put this into perspective, oranges only generate $9 to $10 billion, and they are our state flower. With scrub jays right here in Yankee Lake, Seminole County may be able to see birding money land right at its doors. Even more importantly, if the scrub jay becomes a state bird, Florida will be able to generate this money, birding money into Florida. This is a huge opportunity for Florida to expand its ecotourism industry. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Navya Sharma, and we are gathered here today to hopefully push the new movement for enacting the scrub jay as Florida's official state bird. The scrub jay, a gorgeous blue bird with grays and whites on its feathers, is a bold creature. Their curious nature induces them to approach people. Thus, many alluring photo opportunities result from these beautiful animals. A dauntless nature is not the only trait of the scrub jay that causes so many young students to want to fight for the bird. The scrub jay represents amazing values for Florida, including friendliness, boldness, intelligence, and family values. Especially since the scrub jay is only found in Florida, it should be without a doubt chosen as a state bird. The threatened scrub jays also need our help. Recognition, like making the jay our Florida state bird, can assist in preserving scrub jay habitats. Arguments made against making the scrub jay the state bird are around land permits. Since the scrub jay is already threatened, land with scrub jays has pre-increased permit prices. Therefore, making the creatures our state bird will not affect developers. So the future of our state should be original. Texas, Tennessee, and Mississippi already have the mockingbird as their state bird. We need to embody the way that Florida is unique and use the state bird as our scrub jay. Not only is the mockingbird technically not legislated as our state bird, it is unoriginal. The scrub jay is only native to Florida, bold, intelligent, and beautiful. Essentially, these reasons all showcase why young students fight for the scrub jay and would love to see the scrub jay become our state's bird.
One of our final reasons, and what a lot of our club members find one of the most important reasons, is, like was mentioned, Florida does not actually have an official state bird. So if you go back to check the state statutes, you'll see in Chapter 15 that we don't have a state bird. We have a state fiddle contest, and we have 2 state desserts, but we do not have a state bird. And that's because in Chapter 15 of, or not Chapter 15, in 1927, a resolution, Senate Concurrent Resolution number 3, to make the northern mockingbird the state bird was only passed through the Senate. It was never passed through the House. And it was never signed into law by the current governor of 1927, which was John Martin. So we are actually the only state in the United States that does not have an official state bird.
Hi everyone, my name is Lucy Guo, and I'm going to kind of wrap up what everyone said today. I think that everyone here made some really great points, and with all this being said, Florida clearly needs a state bird, and we believe that the Florida scrub jay is the perfect fit for us. It's beautiful, it's friendly, and it's also really unique to Florida. I also want to mention that the Wildlife Conservation Club has also gone down to the native scrub habitat to visit these scrub jays in person, and we can confirm that they are very friendly. If you wear a hat, they'll actually perch on top of your head, and you can give them a little bit of water by putting water in a bottle cap, and then they'll drink from it, which is really cute. And as the Seminole High School Wildlife Conservation Club, we hope to not only spread our passion for wildlife to more people in our community, but also inspire all generations in Seminole County to go out and make the positive change that they believe in. And before we wrap up, we would like to ask the commission if we could make the Florida scrub jay our county state bird. What would you all think of that?
Well, that's a great question that's been posed, and I think we'll probably have some discussion about that. Are you finished with your presentation at this point? All right. Absolutely, Mr. Cole.
The future is in great hands.
Yeah.
Madam Chair? May I?
Yes, please.
Thank you. First of all, ladies, I think you did a phenomenal job not only presenting it to us, but also the hard work you've done to prepare for today. You should all be commended. Anyone else associated with your group should be commended. I just have to play this little thing. Excuse me, Madam Chair, if you wouldn't mind, just so that... That's a scrub jay. And I think you're absolutely right that it should be not only a state bird, but a Seminole County bird. We have one of the habitats here at Yankee Lake. I know you've said you've been there.
We go out to Lyonia Preserve in Volusia County. I think it's in Volusia. Yeah, it's in Volusia County. But we do know about Yankee Lake.
The reason I'm asking that, if you haven't been there, I'm sure that through the chairman's office, we can arrange that for you, because it is behind our water facility. It's a phenomenal facility. When you do go there, you can always tell the Seminole County scrub jays different than other scrub jays because of their banding. Back in the early 2000s, when they actually established the scrub jay habitat for Seminole County, PBS&J, that actually was one of our consultants. There was 3 ladies involved, and they know that I say this. I call them the bird ladies because I always forget their names, and I mean no disrespect by it. But what they did is when they actually started banding the birds here in Seminole County, they're the only birds that have pink bands. And it's interesting to see a male bird with a pink band, but I think it's okay. But it's actually pretty neat to see. I highly recommend you all to go out there.
Yeah, that's definitely something we were talking about, is taking a club field trip over there.
Well, it needs to be coordinated with the county staff, with the chairman's office.
Okay.
Because there is a series of gates that you have to go through.
Okay.
Because of the facilities that it's behind. And to see these scrub jays in the wild is truly, truly amazing.
Yes, agreed.
And I commend you for your hard work, your dedication, and the drive. And it should not only be a state bird, but a county bird. Madam Chair?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Commissioner Constantine and then Commissioner Hur.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you all for your interest in conservation and the environment. You could teach us a thing or two, and I really appreciate it because it is so important that, the people see that there are others that really care about the environment. And so I want to thank you very much. The second thing is I want to give you a wish of good luck, because I know that this issue has been brought before the legislature many times.
Yes.
And many times, and there are, for whatever reason, we can pass a key lime pie, we can pass, many other like orange blossoms and things of that nature, but for some reason, the scrub jay has had a problem getting through.
Yes.
And frankly, people should understand that that the most important thing is not just to designate it as a state bird, but to protect its habitat.
Right, yes.
Because the biggest problem there is the fact that the habitat of the scrub jay has been continually taken away, threatened, destroyed throughout the state of Florida. And I think if we're going to be ourselves, name the scrub jay as the official bird of the county, I think it's incumbent upon all of us that we also protect the habitat of that bird when we're doing that. Because just to say it's a symbol and not protect it, I think is a travesty. So I certainly concur with being made the state bird. I would make the suggestion that you get with the Audubon Society, because I know that they've had some concerns in the past.
Yeah, so, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
I know what their concerns are, but I mean, if you want to articulate it to everybody, that's fine. But I think if you can work with them, I think it would make it easier to approve. And if, I would be happy to make a motion for a resolution to the legislature to support the scrub jay as the official bird of the state, and also in that same motion approve the fact that we would like to have it as the county bird.
Second.
Okay, that's great. A motion and a second, and we have discussion. Commissioner Hur and then Commissioner Sembauer.
Thank you.
Yes, I just want to weigh in and make sure that we're accommodating the request fairly, because I think that's important, that we don't actually tank your request as it moves further up the state line. And in the document that you presented to us for the Florida scrub jay, to those who may be concerned, naming the Florida scrub jay state bird would not hurt property values. Developers cannot build on land with Florida scrub jays currently because they are a threatened species. Naming it the state bird or the county bird, I added that to your verbiage just to be clear.
Thank you.
Does not afford any additional rights. It is symbolic only. With that, I would support the motion and the second. I think if we make it larger than that, we actually put the entire movement at risk. And I see I'll call you the professor because you have done an amazing job with these young ladies. We would not want to do anything that would put your program in jeopardy.
Commissioner Zembauer.
Thank you. I will tell you that the scrub jay is endemic to Florida and found vastly in my district, which is the easternmost district of this county. You'd be surprised how many actually are running around. They can be quite a pest for some. I get calls sometimes that, what can I do about these birds that are just keep flying into my windows and drive me out of where I want to sit on the front porch and so forth. Myself, I'm sort of a woodpecker fan. The red-cockaded woodpecker is one of my favorites, but I would support the motion so long as, we go back to 1998 was the last time this was brought to the legislature, and there was a lot of discussion, a lot of controversy with property rights and so forth, and that always is a touchy, sensitive topic.
Right.
We have managed to destroy through this state not only scrub jay habitat, but much other habitat.
Right.
And I think it's incumbent upon us as we move forward, and I'm glad to see the next generation's passion for protecting the areas that you will grow up and raise your families in. So it's very important. So
yes.
With that said, thank you all very much for being here. We sincerely appreciate it, and it gives us all a great holiday feeling to see our young folks so passionate about something. So thank you very much.
Thank you guys
Madam Chair,
so much.
I'm ready whenever you are.
Commissioner DeLaury has a question.
I just have one quick question.
Go for it.
It's not just about the scrub jay, but are you all involved in the winter bird count at all?
No,
Okay.
we are not.
We'd be more than happy to send you some information, but it happens.
Okay.
It happens at the end of this month towards January.
Okay, I can give you, is our email?
We have your information. We can get to it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it.
All right, we'll wait until we vote.
Oh, sorry.
It ain't over till it's over.
She's a closer.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I want to thank you all so much for your passion and commitment. I had the opportunity to meet with these students at their school a few months ago and was just so moved by their passion and just everything that you are doing. And when Mr. Cole said the future is bright, I started to choke up because this is why we do what we do. The only reason we are in these roles is to try to create a better future for you and for your families. So this is exciting for us, and what I'd like to do, if we could, with the motion in the second, is have our staff work with the club to bring back an actual resolution that we can adopt so that we can actually look at the words that are used so we make sure that we're all okay with the verbiage. Would the motioner and seconder agree to that?
Sure.
Okay. With a motion and a second and plenty of discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Awesome.
Now
Thank
we're
you
done.
guys so
Thank
much.
Would we be willing to go down and take a picture?
Absolutely.
All right.
Do we have a scrub jay?
I don't want to stop.
not late today.
Don't take offense. You have to hold down to you because these guys are going to take exams. Hold them up for their exams. Their other teachers are not happy with them.
All right, take a look at me first. She's got a really nice camera and take lots of pictures. 1, 2, 3.
Perfect, thank you.
Mr. Harris, thank you for being here this morning. We're equally as excited to thank the many people who've helped us through the last several months.
Well, thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. Alan Harris, Chief Administrator for the Office of Emergency Management. It's truly an honor to bring forward some agencies that have helped us during the historic floods of 2022. Many of these agencies have partnered with us for quite a few years, dating back to 1998 during the tornadoes. Lived with us and worked with us to help people recover from those, from the largest fatality event related to a tornado strike in the state of Florida, which happened here in the Sanford Midway area. They were again partnering with us during 2004 during the 3 hurricanes, during 2008 when we experienced the worst flood that we had ever experienced to that date. Of course, Ian far surpassed what we experienced in 2008. The 2007 tornado, I left that one out, which damaged over 30 homes in the Oviedo area. Operation Haiti Relief, where volunteer organizations collected donated items, food, and clothing for individuals that were coming over from Haiti. Over 10,000 people came through the Orlando Sanford International Airport, and these organizations helped us. The Trayvon Martin event, as well as the trial in 2012 and 2013, these nonprofit and faith-based organizations brought people together to calm our community and provide peace and comfort in our community. Hurricane Matthew in 2016, Hurricane Irma in 2017, the COVID pandemic in 2020 and 2021, and of course this year, 2022, Hurricanes Ian and Nicole. These organizations continue to support us, to support our community, to do exactly what God has, in my eyes, God has said, and that is to help those in need, and these organizations have done that. I'm going to call the organizations out, but please know these are just some of the organizations that have helped us, because these were the ones that were able to come today. There are a lot of other organizations that I won't list out. They are on situation reports, and you've seen them pop up and things like that. But I'm very, very thankful for these organizations that were able to make it today. And I just want to say from me and my team, thank you so much for your partnership. Right at 600 households have been helped already by these individuals. That includes muckouts. Floods are the worst. I've been to just about every type of disaster. Flood is the worst, because water gets everywhere, creatures get everywhere, things are swimming in your house that shouldn't be swimming in your house. And this was even worse because these homes were flooded not a week, not 2 weeks, not 3 weeks, over 50, 60 days in some cases. And many of our staff are the recipients also, as well as our residents, many of our staff are the recipients of the help of these individuals. So I'm going to call the individuals up. I'm just going to ask if you can to come up as I call you. But Harvest Time International, Pastor John Murphy has been chair of our Seminole Heart, which is our interfaith nonprofit organization, since its inception in 1998. Our smallest member, Woody, I'd like Mindy and Woody to come up. Zen Dogs helps us with mental health services inside of shelters, 911 centers, disaster response areas. Salvation Army has been a very long, strong partner with us. One of our newer members to our partnership is the Rural Heritage Center, which served as a point of distribution for food, water, tarps, muck-out kits, mosquito spray. Troy, I don't know what else was out there. Just about everything that you could possibly want and more. It was staffed 7 days a week, volunteers, many members of Troy's family was there doing that, and we can't thank you enough. Josh, thanks as well. St. Luke's Church, Northland Church. Northland's always been a partner, not only with emergency sheltering, but muck-outs, tarps on roofs, things like that. East Coast Believers, we already heard from, where is he?
I don't see Jim.
Did he leave?
Yes, I think he did.
Oh, he said the prayer and left. So East Coast Believers has been a strong partner with us as well. Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has been members of Seminole Heart. They partnered with us. Oh, come up. Come on, you did the work. I don't know if Mike Rance made it or not with the Chainsaw Gang, but if they could come up. Mike, anytime that you call Mike, he says, he doesn't even answer the phone, hey, Alan, or anything. He says, where am I going this time? And we'll give him an address, and he'll go out there. And they've done everything from fence mending to lawn care. I mean, what I mean by that is yard debris for people that have disabilities, people that are unable to go out there, seniors that can't cut up their trees on their own. This group will go out no matter where it is, no matter what time it is, they will go do it. Annunciation Catholic Church, and then I don't know if any other, did any other nonprofit or faith-based organization make it today? All right, and then I'd like to have my team come up because they worked with these folks so closely, but I want to thank them so much for their service. Oh, I'm sorry, and the Florida Baptist, what? That was not on the list, I'm sorry, but yes, the Southern Baptist, they are currently doing work right now in the community, muck-outs, and I'm sorry, I knew I would leave one person off, but they have been an incredible partner since 1998, continue to be an incredible partner, people coming from all over the Southern Baptist Convention, so thank you.
Thank you so much, Alan. I'm going to ask you all, if you would, to get real close and comfy with one another, and we're going to come down there and take a picture with all of you, if we can.
All right, and I don't want anyone to leave quite yet as the commissioners make it back up to the dais. You can leave this area. Yes, sorry. We have a short video to show some of the work that's been done.
I think everybody feels like, what can you do to help?
It was all cut hanging like that, so I've got this cut up to drag to the street.
This is our community. It's where we live. These are our neighbors. These are our friends. And this is what the gospel's for.
Just volunteer help. Give back to the folks. We just end up going where the need is.
I think with it being such a central part of the community, it was like coming home for people to be able to come in and get help or to receive, the gift of meals?
We kind of specialize in labor. A lot of people kind of know us as the yellow shirts, that we're kind of all over the place.
I got hooked up with Alan probably after the 3 hurricanes with the Chainsaw Gang. And ever since, I've been doing this. Sometimes people even want to pay you, and, we don't take any money. It's just volunteer.
Circumstances like this really bring the community together, and it's really neat to see how Geneva takes care of each other.
That is our religion, is getting out there and serving.
Thank you. Heroes, y'all are all heroes in my eyes. The next group I would like to bring forward are the supervisors of Seminole County, the Florida Department of Health, and other organizations that helped during the Hurricane Ian and Hurricane Nicole. These individuals went and did duties that are what we call other duties as assigned on each one of our applications, and this included serving in emergency shelters. We had librarians, parks and leisure services staff, public works, environmental services, development services, all these organizations, all of our departments and agencies, the Florida Department of Health, helping at emergency shelters, sandbag locations, doing damage assessments so that we could make sure that we had a good count of what the damage was in the county so that FEMA assistance could come in, helping at the Disaster Recovery Center to help individuals find temporary housing, community services, looking at multitudes of different grants and even working with multitudes of different grants and transitioning people from the general population and special needs shelters to some other type of permanent housing while their homes are being repaired. Our Citizens Information Hotline, which is still receiving phone calls and questions about how can I recover, are there any other services that can be provided, mitigation services, our public works crews, which took generators out to fix traffic signals that were completely inoperable, that environmental services that moved generator from lift station to lift station to make sure that there was that those were working properly, that everything was pumping effectively in a historic event. Things that we don't do day to day, but are very, very necessary during times of a disaster. So these individuals, I'd like them just to come forward. I'm not going to call each one of them because there's just too many of you, but if you could come forward and we'll take a photo. What we have given them is a shirt that says Hurricane Heroes, and when we need to take our photos, if you can, I think you already have yours on. So he's going to stand in the front. And then we also gave challenge coins to our volunteer organization, faith-based organizations, as well as our supervisors here today. All the employees that are not here today that may be listening, if you did serve in the hurricanes, you will be receiving a shirt later this week.
You get a shirt, and you get a shirt.
Right. So don't be shy, supervisors. If you could come forward.
And as they're coming down, Alan, I'd like to say a special thank you to Cigna Healthcare. Their representative, Janice Maurer, is here with us this morning. Cigna graciously volunteered to cover the cost of these T-shirts, and Sunshine State Threads, which is a small local Sanford business right here downtown, also contributed in reducing the cost of the shirt so that every one of our employees who participated could have one. So thank you to Cigna and Sunshine State Threads. And Janice, if you want to come down and get in the photo with us, we'd love it.
should just stay there.
another community partner with us anytime there's a disaster that requires emergency shelters is the Seminole County School Board and their employees. And so Cigna also provided enough shirts for all of their employees, and I know that the school board will be doing recognition for their team as well. So this is certainly a team effort anytime tragedy strikes. So thank you to everyone. Our next report is our County Investment Advisor Report. Mr. McIntyre, if you would like to take the mic.
Scott.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I noticed that I hadn't introduced myself on a regular basis. I want to make sure that I do that for the record. I'm Scott McIntyre. I'm with Hilltop Securities Asset Management. And this morning, we actually got the November CPI report, which I wasn't able to get, obviously, into this report, but it was very, very important. It was only up 0.1, and on a year-over-year basis, it was up 7.1%. So that signals to the market that inflation is moving downward pretty rapidly. I mean, it's still very elevated, but the market rallied pretty big today, so yields are quite a bit lower than they were yesterday. The U.S. economy is holding up better than expected. It doesn't look like we're going to enter a recession in the fourth quarter. It may not be the first quarter. Third quarter and fourth quarter growth appear to be solid enough, despite the fact that the Fed is trying to slow things down. The Fed has indicated that future rate hikes are going to be in smaller increments. We had 4 75 basis point hikes up until tomorrow, and the expectation is that tomorrow they will raise rates by 50 basis points. There's a meeting, the first meeting of 2023 is in February 1st, and the expectation is it'll be a quarter. So there was, thank God, there was a national rail strike that was averted. That could have been very crippling. I think that the markets really didn't absorb that until that was averted, but that could have been a big, big problem. And China's COVID-0 policy is really clouding things up. The demand for oil as a result of that economic shutdown went lower, so oil prices to some degree were affected by what was going on in China. China has broadly reopened. It's sort of, because it's so big and so much production comes out of that area, it really, really messes with just about everything, supply, demand, inflation, so we'll see how things go. I don't have graphs for you because of the timing of this meeting. Some of the graphs that applied a while ago are no longer valid. Things get stale really, really quickly here. But again, I think everything was about inflation, and we did see inflation move lower. So the scratched out portion is what we talked about, scratched out there on U.S. Treasuries, was at the last meeting. So we invested pretty much at those levels. The next one over is what we put onto the books on, or put onto this presentation on Friday. And I will tell you, if you look at the 24-month, the 2-year, this morning that was at 417. And the 3-year, which was at 401 on Friday, is at 388 today. And I think that transitions really well into the recent investments because these were made about a month ago. So, and there were a lot of them. 176 million were made by the clerk's office. And some of the levels that we got, I think, were really attractive. What we had hoped to do was be able to lock in at some of the highest levels we've seen in a while so that we'd have the securities on for a while. And the first batch there is your bond proceeds, so they were able to go out quite a bit longer. You see some maturities in 2025 and 2024. The grayed out were what we had expected on the date of the meeting, and the actual numbers to the right were where those were invested. And the two $20 million blocks there below that first tier were some of the very first property tax monies that came in. The clerk's office was very quick on the draw, and we were able to get those invested right when they came in at, again, quite a bit higher levels than I think if obviously we would have waited a little bit longer. So, I'm happy with the timing of all of those investments. That's an unusually large amount to invest all at the same time, and it did work out well. Upcoming maturities over on the right-hand side, if I had included February, you would see quite a bit more. We don't like to go out beyond your next meeting, but, as you can see, we've got a lot of yields still that are gradually coming off that were invested before last year, and that will be the case in February as well. So we expect the overall portfolio yield will continue to rise. Recommended purchases, these are pretty much gap fillers. So when we're talking about October and November of 2023, that's really periods where the county spends money. So we wanted to position some there. And then when you go to September and October of 2024, that's another effort to extend the portfolio a little bit while we have the opportunity to do that. And those are also periods where the county is spending money. The only other thing that I wanted to mention in terms of recommendations are that there is $2 million going into a new pool. It's been around for a while, but it's Florida Star. It's the only government pool right now in the state of Florida. So it's a very minimal amount intended to open up the account such that if there are problems next year, unforeseen problems, the clerk's office will have the ability to be able to move money into a government pool, which we feel would then represent safety. So for now, it's just open with $2 million, but it basically is another safety net we're putting in place. And unless anybody has any questions, I will ask for a motion to have the clerk implement your recommendations. I'm actually asking you for the approval.
All right. Any discussion or questions for
Madam
Mr.
Chairman,
McIntyre?
Make a motion to approve the recommendations and instruct the clerk to execute them.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. McIntyre.
You guys have a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas.
You as
Thank
well.
you.
Safe travels.
Before we move on to the consent agenda, I'd like to read our statement regarding public participation. Pursuant to Florida law, the public has a right to be heard on all propositions except when the Board of County Commissioners is acting on ministerial or emergency matters or conducting a meeting exempt from Section 286 of the Florida statutes. Public comment time on propositions shall be 3 minutes for individuals and 6 minutes for group representatives. The right to be heard during quasi-judicial hearings is governed by Florida law. The public will be provided the opportunity to be heard on non-agenda matters at the end of the meeting. That's actually at the end of our 1:30 meeting. Public participation is not open to the presentation of campaign issues by political candidates or others, pending employee disciplinary matters, or pending litigation. Proper decorum will be observed and is defined as behavior that is polite and orderly. With that, Commissioners, we have the consent agenda before us. Is there a motion? Or is there anyone here from the public who would like to speak? You have no comment card, Shaney?
Not on anything related.
All right. Commissioner Zembauer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have item 34 I would like to pull for discussion.
Okay. And do you have a staff member that's already teed up to answer about that?
I'm not sure. I did put it on our county manager's radar.
Okay, 34.
Earlier this
and
week.
Commissioner Constantine?
Just a point of clarification, I believe that number 25 is District 3, not District 4. Just wanted to point that out.
Okay,
That's
we'll
all.
let the record reflect that.
Madam Chair?
Yep.
I will move approval of consent agenda items 5 through 36, less 34, and items 37, 38, and 39, which are the constitutionals and our county attorneys.
Second.
Motion and a second. Under discussion, Commissioner
Madam
Constantine?
Chair, I would like to have a report on 37 instead of just going ahead and approving it. I'd like to hear what the latest is.
All right, would the motioner and seconder be willing to remove that from their motion?
Absolutely happy to.
All right. Motion is amended then to remove item 37. Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 34, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The reason I had 34 pulled is a couple reasons. One is an unanswered question thus far that I think we need to get an answer to. This has to do with fleet maintenance. Some of us were not here when there was a third party that took care of all the fleet maintenance. I was asked as a private citizen then to come in and do an overview of that contractor and the contract, and ultimately the board decided to bring that service mechanism back in-house. And it's now been brought in-house under our fleet management program. So the questions I have not had answered yet is, do we not have enough staff? Do we not have enough facility? Why are we having a need to step out to outsource service and repair of our equipment, our automobiles, and so forth? That's one question I need answered. The next statement I'm going to make is not any reflection whatsoever, nor do I care it to be, against our procurement staff. But I think we would be well served to have subject matter experts weighing in on RFPs. I know Commissioner Herr is very knowledgeable in insurance matters. I would always defer to her in such things because she's lived it, breathed it, understands what's moving on the ground on a daily basis. My wheelhouse happens to be transportation, and my concern with this RFP is a couple things. One, the detail is not enough. It opens up this county and taxpayers to the capability of being fleeced if you're not following the proper protocol and industry standards. And the RFP is not written with enough oversight to allow that. By example, we've asked for labor, we've asked for parts at a certain point, but here's what I will tell you. There are different labor guides, there are different labor standards, and if we don't follow the ones that best serve us, as well as the industry, we can have somebody bid $120 an hour for work versus somebody that's $150 an hour for work, and the $150 an hour person could end up being cheaper because we've not put any standards of what labor guideline you're going to follow, what manufacturer's labor guideline you're going to follow. So I would very much like us to bring in either a subject matter expert in to help with this one, or I'm happy to, if it's the board's desire, to give recommendations on how we can follow that. But the bigger problem I have is understanding why we need to outsource this to begin with. I know the sheriff's office, Lisa Spriggs is here, they have their own maintenance. What I'd really like us to see us do is coordinate with the sheriff's office, like many of the other municipalities do, and bring in a major combination of our fleet collectively. And I think the sheriff would be open for that discussion. This is done in many of the cities, other municipalities, and we should be talking to the manufacturers because the manufacturers would allow us to be a warranty and repair center under their umbrella, which would prevent us from having to send things 10 miles, 20 miles, waiting a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks to get something done. So I would not be voting to approve this as it's written, as accepted at this point, for all those reasons.
Can we have
Mr. Applegate?
The commissioner talked to me about this either last week or the week before. I'm certainly not an expert in any of this area, and I don't think our staff is, based on, in talking to the commissioner, the number of issues that are involved. So what I would like to do is have this item pulled and have staff go back and either meet with the commissioner, or if the commissioner can recommend, we would go out and seek some professional guidance, if you will, on putting a new RFP together, if that's what the commission desires. But it's certainly, this is not a criticism of staff in any
not at all.
But if this is an area that requires some expertise, then we certainly should avail ourselves of that opportunity.
I'm fine with that. I think the biggest question that I need to have answered, which is we all need answered, is why do we have the need to outsource it to begin with?
And we'll look, and we'll go back to square one on that as well.
Maybe John, I see John waving his hands here.
Commissioner Herr.
John, while you're coming up, the question that I would have in my mind is there any urgency to this?
Good morning. First Director John Judge, Public Work Director, County Engineer. This is miscellaneous agreement. Is on as-needed basis. It's not, sometimes we need some type of service. We don't have the expertise on it. And we do it, this is the first time I know you had issue with it. Probably if I had known exactly what your concern, probably I would have got you the information, more detail. This is not the only contract we have for miscellaneous. We need it sometime. We don't have the expertise. It's not really to sub it out our services. We do all the services in-house, but sometimes certain specialty we don't have certain, and that's what we do. And if you look at it, only we're talking about $100,000 estimated a year. If you have a certain concern about how we put those contracts, was it procurement, is it certain, I'll be glad to get you the information. Also, we can sit with a fleet manager and get you all those information. But that is a miscellaneous. It is, we always have, so this is why we keep them going. If we don't have the expertise or we're behind the schedule or something, but that is very small. Amount, a budget, $100,000 for such.
Understood, and if we read it, it's recurring and ongoing. The questions I have is, I can't imagine there's anything that we should not be able to fix or repair in our own fleet department. And I understand the challenge of getting good technicians. I totally understand that. In addition to that, the RFP was put out for literally 40 different types of equipment, and the response and award is for 3 types of equipment. Nobody responded for bulldozers, excavators, farm equipment, sidewalk sweepers, or anything else, strictly automotive.
Right.
That's all that responded to your RFP. And so all I'm getting at is, if it's a training issue with our staff, I can get you the assets that are necessary to get that training. If it is a situation where we don't have enough manpower or woman power, then we can find that as well. But to send out something that we should be able to fix in-house is problematic, especially with the way the responses came in to the RFPs.
Commissioner, I think Mr. Applegate would like to weigh in, and then we can figure out how we want to.
Yeah. Well, I'll wait until the exchange then.
Well, I'm just wondering if it might be better to go ahead and move the item to the next agenda, and you all can have the exchange that you would like to have, because I feel like it might take longer than what we can solve right here, right now. Okay. Would we be agreeable to that?
Absolutely.
Okay. So if I could have a motion to...
Chairman, I move to table this item until the county manager is ready to bring it back.
Second.
Are we sure we want to table?
I would continue it, not to a date certain at this point.
Continue.
With the holidays and...
Yeah.
Accept the friendly amendment.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right. So we'll take it up at a later date. All right. Item 37, Commissioner Constantine.
I just want to report.
Good morning, Commissioners. Acting County Attorney Paul Chipok. Item number 37 is a petition for custody of confiscated animals. We had the 35 animals that were taken. It was in a news report right before Thanksgiving. The animals are currently at our shelter. However, we are holding them in custody for the court right now. We do not have permanent custody of those animals. In order for us to have those animals available for adoption, we need a court order to give us legal custody of those animals, and then we can convey them out appropriately to individuals in good homes. So with that, there was a time period of, we had to file that motion, the petition, within 10 days. We took that advantage to preserve jurisdiction over the matter, and now we're bringing it to you for authorization to continue with the litigation.
And Madam Chair, if I can, this is a heart-wrenching situation, and one in which I think there has been a lot of interest, not only with the media, but certainly with individuals. And I think all of us up here have expressed our concern over time about the treatment of animals in homes such as this. So I just wanted to make sure that that we were all up to speed, and also to the public as to what we're trying to do. This is a very proactive situation that we're trying to do. I see Alan has moved up. If we could, I think we should,
And I want to make sure, before Alan speaks, the county attorney, with this pending court decision, should we even be talking about this? Do we run any peril of indulging or getting into the areas we should not?
This is limited, our discussion today is limited to the possession of the dogs.
Sure.
Okay? We have them in our possession. They were taken from the property because of unsafe conditions. They are presently being held in our facilities.
Understood.
However, we do not have permanent custody of them. The reputed owner of the dogs could come back and request them to be released to his custody.
I think that's already happening, is it not?
Not yet.
Not yet. It has not.
Okay.
So by
Is
filing this
indicated that he might
petition,
want to.
we have forestalled that activity for the court to decide who would be the most appropriate owner of those dogs. So that's why we filed the petition to, like I said, within the 10 days in order to allow us to bring it to the court to have a judge make that determination.
Understood. I just don't want to do anything to imperil what I think all of us want to occur. So with that said, I won't be making any further comments on this matter.
I won't say a whole lot. Alan Harris, Chief Administrator for the Office of Emergency Management. As Paul mentioned, the dogs are in our custody. They're under vet care right now. Our veterinarian and vet techs are taking care of the animals, treating them for various different types of ailments and malnutrition. And I mean, this is general public information, but I wanted to let you know that we are taking care of them. One passed away in front of me. I think that's pretty common knowledge now because I've said it, and that was heart-wrenching to watch that dog gasp for air and vomit and couldn't breathe, and we helped it to its next over the Rainbow Bridge, if you will. It was a very sad moment. I love dogs, as you know. And cats and all other types of animals. I'm in charge of animal services, I should. But that was one of the most tragic scenes I've seen, and I've seen quite a bit of animal cruelty before.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the request of item number 37.
Second.
The petition for custody of the confiscated animals as presented.
Motion and a second. I think we're done with discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Chairman?
Yes.
I would just like to indicate to my fellow commissioners, this did happen in District 5. We have taken proactive measures in the past with new ordinances with regard to hobby breeders and backyard kennels that are favorable, and I have been in touch with Alan and Paul and will continue to see this through to the end, to include protections of the neighbors that surround this property. As you can imagine, that would be a difficult situation as well. So just know that we're working on that through the district office.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hur. Moving on to regular agenda item number 40. Welcome.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I will be presenting the Myrtle Final Development Plan.
You would just your name and position for the record.
Excuse me, Annie Silloway, I'm Senior Planner for Development Services. Okay. I just want to state that this project is not a rezone or a future land use amendment. This project is within the Urban Conservation Village Design Overlay and is required to go before the board as a regular agenda item. This request is for consideration of the Myrtle Final Development Plan containing 21 lots on 14.27 acres, zoned A1 agriculture, located on the south side of Myrtle Street, approximately a quarter-mile west of South Sanford Avenue. The applicant proposes to develop a single-family residential subdivision on 14.27 acres with a maximum density of 2 dwelling units per net buildable acre for a total of 21 lots, within a minimum lot size of 5,500 square feet. The subject site has a suburban estates future land use designation with A1 zoning, which permits a maximum density of 1 unit per acre with a minimum lot size of 1 acre. However, the site is located within the Urban Conservation Village Design Overlay, which allows a maximum of 2 units per net buildable acre when developed under the cluster design. The intent of Urban Conservation Village Design Overlay is to promote a much smaller lot size in order to preserve large open space greenways for the benefits of the residents. The overlay cluster design criteria requirements include a 15-foot wide buffer around the perimeter of the development with a 10-foot buffer adjacent to Myrtle Street. Residential structures must maintain a perimeter setback of no less than 35 feet and no less than 140 feet from the center line of Myrtle Street. The development must connect to public utilities, and 50% of the net buildable acreage, exclusive of any floodplain and wetlands, must be designated as greenway open space and preserved in a conservation easement. There are detailed requirements for stormwater retention that must be demonstrated at the time of final engineering. At the time of final engineering, the development must incorporate stormwater volume reduction by retaining on-site the difference between pre-development and post-development, runoff volume of 25-year, 24-hour storm event with a recovery of 75% of volume within 72 hours of the storm event. Staff has determined that the final development plan meets the requirements of the overlay. A 15-foot wide buffer will be provided along the west, south, and east perimeter. There will be a large open space tract fronting Myrtle Street that will include a 10-foot wide landscape buffer. The lot design layout will ensure that all set structures will be in compliance with the perimeter building structure setbacks. And just to put on the record, there was a memo dispersed to the Board of County Commissioners on December 9th showing the revised accessory building, pool, and pool screen enclosure setbacks in the developer's commitment agreement. The development will connect to Seminole County public utilities and, of course, 50% of the net buildable acreage, which is approximately 5.79 acres, as greenway open space. The designated open space includes a retention pond of 0.94 acres and is required to be amenitized. On September 13th, 2022, BCC approved the preliminary development plan. Staff recommends the Board of County Commissioners approve the Myrtle Final Development Plan and Developer's Commitment Agreement as requested. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Beach, do we have anyone here to speak on this item? All right. Commissioner Zembauer, this is in your district.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Was there any public input?
I asked and was told no,
Okay.
unless there's someone here that did not fill out a form that would have liked to have spoken on that item. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
County manager and staff briefings. Commissioner Applegate.
Yep.
How do you like that?
Okay. Two things one thing before I turn it over to Melanie to talk about the county manager search schedule and the schedule for upcoming meetings. I'm going to take the hit on 34. I think I made a mistake, and I apologize to the board. I went back and looked, and I didn't send an email to John or staff on your question. So my apologies for any confusion on that, but that's on me, not John or procurement.
I don't think it's a time sensitive. From what briefly I heard from John, I don't think it's a dire need at this moment.
But
and I'm happy
that one's on me because I thought I sent an email and I didn't. Melanie, if you want to start with your presentation.
Good morning. Coons. with the county manager's office. Before you, I have a couple of papers. The first, I think maybe the easiest one to discuss is the county manager search interview schedule. As you're aware, in September, I sent out a proposed schedule for the entire process. And at that time, we had proposed that we would do the interviews with the board on a Wednesday. I think it's January 25th. We'd do staff interviews and follow-up interviews with the board on the 26th, which is Thursday. And Friday, we would do a public meeting to allow the public to give public comment. Since that time, we've learned that that schedule may not work for a couple of commissioners. So I sent out an additional proposed schedule that was some alternatives just for thought to see what would work for you. The first alternative was to do allow the candidates on Wednesday, January 25th, to do a self-guided tour through the county. In the afternoon, they would be able to meet with staff. On Thursday morning, they could meet with commissioners and do interviews, and then on Friday we'd have the public meeting. There was an additional consideration that I highlighted that had been brought up a time or two that would allow the candidates to meet in the evening with the business community and other residents if they would like to have an opportunity to interact with them in a different setting. So that's something I wanted to discuss as well today, if we wanted to throw that in there. The second alternative was to allow commissioners to have interviews on Tuesday from 1 to 7 on the 24th. On Wednesday, we would do the tour that we had talked about and do staff interviews. And then on Thursday, have the public meeting. And then again, if you wanted to have that evening meeting, possibly at Seminole State, and an off-site opportunity for the candidates to meet with the community. So I'm just throwing it out for discussion to see what works for the 5 of you.
Alternate schedule 2 works for me. I'll kick it off.
I like that. I like some discussion. That's great.
Does alternate 2 work for everyone? Let's just go down the row. Commissioner Constantine, I'll start with you. Does alternate 2 work for you?
I don't know. I'm looking at my
So
schedule.
it would be on January 24th.
Okay, while Commissioner Constantine looks, Commissioner Delary,
Madam Chair, the only reason I'm hesitant at 24 is because on my calendar it says that we have a BCC morning meeting.
We do. That's why what I would do is we would just do it from a half-a-day meeting from 9:30 to 12, and then we would do the afternoon. We'd let you do interviews at that point. That is the only way we can keep to the schedule of Tuesdays and Thursdays, which seems to be a requirement.
I mean, I'm okay doing it either Schedule 1 or Schedule 2, just FYI. I'm just concerned about the BCC meeting in the morning, that's all.
okay, well, if we can...
If we control the agenda.
If we control the
that'd be
agenda,
easy,
we can make that work, I think. Commissioner Herr, what's your opinion?
So I'm wildly flexible. A couple of them require me to move a colonoscopy, which I'm happy to do.
That with flexibility in the same state, I don't know.
Yeah, I thought I'd throw that out there to see if any of you got it. But alternative Schedule 2 works, so do the other 2. I've blocked all of it to accommodate the need.
Well, I appreciate your flexibility.
I mean, I'm okay with 1 or 2, but I'm just concerned, as long as we can control the schedule in the morning, that'd be great. That's it.
Well, Mr. Constantine?
So just so I'm clear, the 24th is commission meeting, and in the afternoon, it would be our interviews?
Yes.
Then
correct.
what did you say on the 25th?
The 25th would be just for senior staff and allow them to do a tour,
And what did you say on the 26th?
a public meeting
Okay, I'm good with that.
Okay.
in the morning.
So, go ahead.
I would also say alternative 2 would be a preference for me.
Fine with that.
Okay. It sounds like there's consensus for alternative 2. The other item that I want to take up is the meet and greet.
Correct, the meet and greet. Your thoughts on that? Because I would suggest on that one, if we do alternative 2, that we might consider doing that on Wednesday evening, if you so would like to do that.
So this was something that we did as a part of the Seminole State President search and the superintendent search, and we've done it for the zoo CEO search in the past, and it seems to have been well received, not only by the candidates but also by community members who had the opportunity to interact with the different candidates in a different setting, in a social setting, and an opportunity for us to observe potential county managers in a light that isn't necessarily up on this dais. So, Commissioner Herr.
I've actually participated in several of those that you just mentioned and think it's a good idea to give candidates the opportunity to learn a little bit more about the community, particularly for those that may be coming in from another state, and for our community to learn a little bit more about those that may be in a key role in terms of the future of the county.
I'm fine with all that.
Okay.
So that would be 6 to 9?
Yes.
That's what I was going to say. Does that seem like I don't really know. Does that seem like a reasonable amount of time?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
And then I just wanted to be clear that the public meet and greet does not include us.
Correct.
I just thought we should say that.
I don't know, do you think we should move that to 5:30 to, move it down to 5:30?
5:30 to 8:30?
5:30 to 8:30 maybe? Because it's still going to be dark and...
I'm not married to a particular time frame. If 5:30 to 8:30 is better.
It might be best if people can get there in the light.
Right. That's
People like
my
me.
thought. And of course, our professional people are just leaving work or have left work. There's no sense in them going all the way home and then going all the way back somewhere at 6 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
So that's a good point you brought up, Commissioner Herr. Do you foresee that the commissioners would be there? Because I won't need to advertise it if they're not.
For the Seminole State Search, all the trustees were in attendance, and we mingled separately, but to each candidate's space, if you will. Each candidate had an opportunity to be in a room by themselves where people mingled in and out of that room with them. And I don't know that that would be problematic.
It could be, especially that you're going to be voting hopefully the next day. And that's what I also wanted to bring up the question. This schedule suggests that when you have the public interviews here in the chambers, that day you're going to make a decision, right? Okay. But I
Not
think,
necessarily. I mean, we're having a public meeting for them to discuss. We might bring it back if they don't.
well, they could, right. I
You know.
mean, but
They can't come to a
hopefully-
decision.
Ideally, we would love to be able to have it be such a clear decision that we'll be able to do
Right.
that. So
And perhaps it will be.
it may be. We don't know.
So I'm a little confused here, so please bear with me. But when you say on Thursday, a public meeting, I thought that was meeting with the public. Or is it?
It is with the public. It allows, as we did with the other three candidates, the
But we're not-
candidates have an opportunity to be interviewed, and the public has an opportunity to tell you their feelings,
But we're not, okay, so we would be here as well as the public.
and the candidates.
Okay, so you're looking at the 26th as the decision-making day?
No.
Perhaps.
It could be.
Might be.
It could be.
This is very similar to what we did last time.
Exactly similar as we did the last time.
Except that we're considering a meet and greet.
My suggestion, if I may have the latitude, is let the chairman, I think we've all agreed, Schedule 2, work it with our legal team, rest of the staff, let us know, because the easier we can make this on the applicants, the better off we're all going to be. And I don't want to get in the way of clouding that for them. As soon as they know, and the earliest they can know what we're going to do, the better off, I believe.
I agree.
The only question that I would have, Madam Chairman, is with the meet and greet, are the five of us going to be present or not?
I won't be there.
I'm asking, are we going to be there or not?
I think what I'm hearing from the attorney is, or from the acting county manager, and
Sorry.
the acting county attorney may want to weigh in on that.
If we advertise it, then that's a safer method. That way, if you do feel like you want to attend, it is fine, and it'll be a noticed public meeting. Not that you're going to convene as a board, but could be several members of the Board of County Commissioners here. As long as we advertise it, then we're meeting the public sunshine law.
I personally would like to attend because I like to see if someone chews with their mouth open.
For real?
Yeah, I mean, that, for me, like, I want to see the person that we're going to hire as our CEO and the representative of this organization. I'd like to see them in an outside setting and how they interact with people, and if they're sociable, and if they chew with their mouth open, that's a deal killer for me. Anyway, Commissioner Herr.
I actually would like to keep the process as pristine as possible. And I think, and I've done it both ways. I did it that way for Seminole State, where the trustees were there, and I've done it for superintendent, where the board members were not there. My preference would be that the board members stay to the board member zone, and that the public has the opportunity to have conversation with these candidates without us there. It changes the dynamic for the public, and that's what this is about.
Agreed.
Interesting. Okay. Well,
The only question I would have would be that if there's comments from individuals, then it's going to be up to them to reach out to us in a short period of time.
Commissioner
That'd be my only
Constant.
concern.
I agree.
I think we have every person has a different dynamic suggestion. I think that we should leave it to each one of us to decide whether we want to go or not. And I think that we should, under the case that if the commissioner, more than one commissioner goes, that we should just make it a public record so that we are, public meetings, so that we all are aware that it's going to happen. And we don't have the problem.
Commissioner Herr.
That, for me, the process is very important. And leaving, that's not a process. That's, I'm going to be there for part of it. I may talk to one of them. I'm not going to talk to another one. That sends a very clear message about an organization. I think we're well beyond that. So we are either in or we're not in, from my perspective, to give deference to the candidates that are taking time out of their lives to do this process, and actually going public with the fact that they're looking for this role. So we either need to be there or not be there to keep it clean.
Commissioner Zembauer.
Thank you. I concur with Commissioner Herr 100%. We need to be united in whatever decision we make in this process, number one. We'd be well served to do so. Number two, I think it is better served in a sterile environment without our thumbs on the scales, whether intentional or non-intentional. These people that would be there may interpret our actions to mean something that it really doesn't. We may see some actions that happen that are misconstrued. I just think it needs to be a more sterile process with us out of the picture. We'll have our chance, and more chances than we probably would want, to vet the process and get to the bottom of who the ultimate candidate is. That, I would concur with Commissioner Herr 100%.
Well, it does not sound like we have consensus on that
No.
issue. So why don't we do this? Why don't we schedule it, let's plan for it, and we will take up the issue of attendance as we get closer. I don't think we're going to solve it here today. While I do certainly think we all need to be unified moving forward, I'm trying to figure out how to level a playing field when potential candidates may have already had a less sterile interaction with some of us.
Well,
So that's all I'm going to say about that.
yeah,
So I think we'll just maybe take that piece up later. Commissioner Herr.
I would recommend that we also seek the consultant's advice. She's done a good job at getting us to this point. So there may be some suggestions that come from that. I think that, and I also think that I'm not interested in leveling the playing field from the perspective that when you're a candidate for a position, it's on you to figure out how to become the So I look at it from a very clear business perspective of this is a competition in the greatest sense of the word, and so I'm not going to level the competition for somebody.
That wasn't exactly what I was implying, but we'll
So on the
address
meet
it
and
later.
greet, I have a tour tomorrow of the facility that we have in mind, so I'll get back with you on that.
Okay.
Hopefully it's available. I still don't know if it's available on this date. But, all right.
Right.
I have that.
So I just want to make sure that with a thumbs up or a head nod or something, that we have consensus on Schedule 2,
Yes, ma'am.
and that we are going to do a meet and greet on Wednesday, the 25th, from 5:30 to 8:30.
Either with or without commissioners.
With or
somehow.
without.
We'll advertise however
We'll figure
we
it
need
out.
to.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much,
All right.
Melanie.
So there's that.
There's that. That was supposed to be the easy one.
Is our challenge of work sessions. So we, as you know, we always have board meetings on the second and fourth Tuesday. And we were having work sessions on the third Tuesday. That became in conflict with the mayors and managers meetings, and you would have to take sometimes 3 and 4 hour breaks. So we thought, we'll do the first Tuesday. Well, that doesn't work because Commissioner Zimbauer has an airport board meeting every first.
I mean, I've got a whole list of interference for the airport meeting almost every month.
I know that. So that's why we're discussing. So our thought was this. I don't know. I was going to throw some things out. Do you think that you could be available for 4 hours in the afternoon on that first Monday? Do we want to try to push them into the second and fourth meeting somehow at the end of the day, which doesn't traditionally work? Set aside the morning session of one of the board meetings. Thursdays don't seem to work. A lot of you have board meetings, your other outside committees. So I'm looking for you to come up with alternatives. I really don't know your schedules. I tried to throw something out there, it failed. So now we need to come up with something if you want work sessions. And just to throw in there, I had on there April 4th is a budget work session. That's really going to be on April 11th. We don't have mayors and managers in June and July and November and December, so we still could use those third Tuesdays.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
It's with reserve that I'm about to make a statement that I'm not sure why we have all these work sessions, number one, that we couldn't do them on board days. When I look around the region of other counties, other municipalities who have a agenda that is 3 and 4 and 5 times larger than this county's, how we can't pull off a work session in the same day as a BCC. I don't understand why we can't. I think we're already here. I think it is more efficient for not only us, who are already here, but our staff that is already here. Now, if there is a special topic that would require a full day's work session, then maybe we should address that on an as-needed basis with consensus of all of us and staff. But otherwise, I mean, we just don't have a huge agenda. I mean, we're sitting here talking about this at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Actually,
and our afternoon session.
We started at 10:30.
Right, and our afternoon session, I mean, we've got literally nothing on it. And if you go back historically and look at our agendas before we were commissioners, I mean, it was 3 times this large, and they got through it, 10, 12 hours. Just a thought.
So I think the reason we moved them off of the board day was because we were not able to keep check on our time, and we would have consultants and people sitting here waiting for the work session only to be told, just kidding, we've now run out of time. And the work sessions that we have scheduled are scheduled because this board said that they wanted them. I don't think staff has scheduled anything that they didn't believe they had the direction from the board to schedule. So I certainly hear you, and I wish that we were a board who could do that, but my experience for the last 4 years has proven that for whatever reason, we don't do Reader's Digest very well. So I'd be happy to look at some of these as half-days. Melanie has suggested a couple as potential half-days, but there are some that do merit the time and attention because we've said they're important to us. I mean, we've been the ones that have asked for them. So it's up to you all, if you want certain ones to be all day or partial day, or I'm open to whatever. This was a great place to start, and we can certainly move it around. Commissioner Delary.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I see a couple of work sessions on our schedule. I don't see titles or descriptions, and so that's why I'm not seeing the need for them. Until I see an actual title or description, it's just a placeholder, and I don't see a need to have all these placeholders.
So, well, let me answer that, and I'll definitely come to her. The reason why we built in placeholders is because our pattern is to find a topic that comes up at a Board of County Commissioners meeting, and then we go, oh my gosh, this is really important, we should have a work session. And then we say to our staff, when can we have a work session? And they say, well, we don't know, we don't have any time on the calendar. And so this was an opportunity to not have that happen. So if there are placeholders here that you know you will be out of town, unavailable, otherwise committed, we can pick another placeholder for sure. But we were trying to build them in to not have that happen again, because things happen that you can't predict as the year goes on, and then you're like, oh wow, this would be a great work session topic, but no one has the time on their calendar.
Well, and I'll give you an example. The first work session that is scheduled, that's on here, I mean, I'm up to speed on a good bit of it myself, and I don't know that we can't have staff briefings that would accomplish this to a certain extent.
Which topic?
That's the February 7th work session, Wakava Basin, Lake Monroe Basin work sessions, Seminole Forever work session.
Okay. Commissioner Herr? Sorry.
I mean, I know we all maybe spend different time digging into certain things, but I'm just giving an example. I'm not saying we don't need one on that. I'm just saying I'm pretty well up to speed in understanding what's going on there. And if there's stuff that an hour would take for staff to answer any questions, I would be good.
Commissioner Herr?
I'm going to stop raising my hand at some point. So I just want to point out that we went through the same process last year where we held a bunch of dates for the whole year. They didn't have titles because I can remember objecting. I think I actually had the same exact objection that you just had as you were chair. I don't feel like I'm up to speed on Seminole Forever. I don't know how any of us can be up to speed on Seminole Forever. We're building that as we run. So that is worthy. I don't know that it's worthy of a whole day. And so I do think there's a need to put placeholders in here. I think the challenge that I have is that it is difficult for us to tell what could be done in a partial day and what can't be done in a partial day when we're doing it like this. But that's what you work out as time goes on. You probably can't tell that at this point either. So I'm actually going to do what you asked, and I'm just going to go through and tell you which days don't work, because I think that was the question. So March 7th is a no for me.
March 7th?
March 7th.
Got it. There's a no.
April 4th was a no for me, but I just heard that one's crossed off of the list.
Correct.
So
Correct.
that's a good. And June 6th was a no for me. And then the overarching comment that I have is that we are very clear that these are if needed and that we're not filling these spaces with something to do, because I think the amount of production that we lose for staff time with having us come and listen to work sessions is amazingly unproductive. So when we say as needed, it's only if needed.
And I don't know if you would ever consider starting at 9 instead of 9:30 or going till 12:30, because then we could maybe stop the morning session and do an hour from 11 or to 12:30. I don't know. I'm trying to come up with solutions for you.
I'd be happy to start at 8 and do a work session until 9, or 8 and a work session until 9:25, or 7:30. And we're booked on this day anyway.
Heck, let's start at 5.
Sold.
Let's kick it off, get 7 hours in before
Sold.
break.
We might be cranky at that point.
Madam Chair.
That's probably a little early.
Okay, let's see what other dates don't work. Commissioner Delary.
I would agree with some of the dates that Commissioner Herr spoke about.
Which ones?
That was the 7th. March 7th is an issue with me. But we customarily we only have one meeting in July. So I've already booked July 11th. So and I don't know why we're having a board meeting when we normally don't have a board meeting in the beginning of July. For years, we've only had one.
That was a board decision. Typically, it was around the holiday, if that is something that...
I understand that.
Yes,
and-
that's why we're asking today.
And that's our discussion, and that's why we're having a
That's
discussion.
a really good solution, because if I look at last year's, that is what we
Right.
did, so that's a great, I like it.
What?
So are you recommending eliminating the county commission meeting on July 11th?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I won't be present for that one.
But it's okay, that's
Okay.
even more reason to eliminate it.
I'll be traveling.
And last year, it was a work session. We did a
Correct.
work session in July instead.
Okay. Are those the only two for you?
For me,
Commissioner
that's the only
Laurie?
two, Madam Chair.
March 7th and
March
July
7th
11th.
and July 11th are the two big
Okay.
ones for me.
Commissioner Zembauer,
March 7th, no-go. April 4th, no-go. June 6th, no-go. June 27th, not here.
Oh, there's another one.
July 11th, not here. August 1st, not here.
now, could I just ask for clarification? Is that because you believe these will conflict with the airport board meeting? Because we can shift the time.
No, these are travel dates that I'll be traveling.
So some of
Okay.
those are
Related
regular
to-
board meetings.
Yep, okay.
Oh, understood.
All right, I just
Yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
make sure I was clear. Wait just a minute.
December 5th,
I'm sorry, was that December or September?
December. That's in the middle of deer season.
Oh, we can't miss that.
Then the airport conflicts are January 10th, February 7th, March 7th, April 4th, May 2nd, June 6th, July 11th, August 1st, September 12th, October 3rd, November 7th.
Madam Chair, I'm being lost right here. I'm not following what these dates are.
So these are the dates where Commissioner Zembauer
his
says that he has a conflict with the Sanford
With the
Airport
airport.
Board meeting.
Now,
Now,
it
you
doesn't
were on
mean
the
I can't
Sanford
go and
Airport
come
Board
back.
this past year,
Correct.
and we didn't have conflicts then?
No, because
I
we
don't
had
know.
our meetings on the third Tuesday.
Right, y'all switched
So
it
I
up.
suggested the first because of mayors and managers is on
Right.
the third Tuesday, and it's a 3 or 4 hour block that you all have to fill time.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to clarify, so they're doing their meeting not on January 3rd, because we have a board meeting on the 10th. So did they move theirs, the airport? You mentioned
January
I'm sorry,
10th.
January 10th. Yeah, that's a board meeting day. So they moved theirs. Instead of the first Tuesday, they're doing the second Tuesday.
I'll verify that.
Okay.
You know,
Yes, Commissioner Constantine?
I'm thinking of the baseball 162-game schedule and everybody having to be someplace, somewhere, sometime. And quite frankly, I don't, I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for you trying to put this together. I could give you a number of dates. I will tell you the 26th. As you might know, I'm supposed to be with the Florida Association of Counties somewhere, but, it is what it is, and therefore I'm going to try to rearrange my schedule to be there on the 26th.
Of which month, Commissioner
I'm talking about
Constantine?
January.
January.
Oh,
This is
January.
January, because I know
Oh, the
that
town
Ms.
manager.
Lung was also, Melanie was also going to be there on the
I'm not now.
broadband. And I could go through these dates also. We're not going to be able to do it right now. So I think we've all put in some dates that we have to have. I think you know the concerns. I could give you some others, but I don't want to do that to you right now. I will give them later, but good luck.
Thank you. So I think what we'll do is someone has been making hash marks, I know I have, of the greatest number of conflicts, and we will work around those. And Commissioner Zembauer, as far as the airport board meetings go, we can try and work around those in the afternoon and schedule those so that you have time.
I'm not sure he's still available, though, from what I heard you say.
On what?
On that day.
January 10th?
No, on all of them that you mentioned. There was airport board days, and I'm not sure, you made a comment that you still had other things to do on those days. So I'm just, you know what? We'll just try to maybe get 6
Yeah.
months' worth out there.
You know, and that's a good point, Madam Chair. You know, why don't we try 3 months at a time, you know, a quarter, and see if we can get that done, and then 2 months before the next
Well,
quarter, we try to do that?
I do know that Commissioner Zembauer and Commissioner Herr especially need a schedule, a long term, as you all do, because you have other things on your agendas. And
They're not the only two
to
commissioners.
say,
They're not the only two
That's
commissioners.
what I said, sir. Can I just, July, are we going to cancel July's meeting? Can I get that? Is that something that you want to do, so I can
I would
take
like
that
to.
off?
We've always done that.
Is there consensus to cancel the July 11th meeting?
That's what I'm talking about.
I won't be present.
So we have one
Sure.
not present, one not present, a sure, and a head nod. Sounds like
Okay,
we're
that's
canceling
good.
the July 11th meeting.
So we will try again, and I think for staff's purposes, I think you probably need to have some discussion on work sessions, because they need to know. Like, obviously, I think we could probably do the Wakaiva Basin studies as a presentation at a board meeting. I'm not sure about Seminole Forever.
And what about, just a thought, Madam Chair, is anybody opposed, like with these work sessions, are any of us opposed to, let's say, on the board day, running into the evening, 8, 9 o'clock at night?
I'm
I
not,
know all of us have pets to have to deal with, and maybe that can be handled or not handled, but just a thought. I mean, for me, I'm here. If we're going to be here to 4 or 5 on a board meeting, take a break, come back at 6, keep going for a couple, I don't know.
yeah, I don't think I'm opposed to that idea. I think the issue with the work sessions is not just for us to receive information, but it's for us to have an opportunity to have consensus and discussion and then give staff direction. Because when they meet with each of us individually, it's a much harder situation for them and takes more time for them to try to eventually get to what they think might be a consensus behind closed doors, only to find out when they come publicly that maybe the consensus they thought they had wasn't there. So that's part of the purpose for the work sessions, especially on something as important as Seminole Forever. But, yeah, Mr. Applegate.
I'm the interim, so it's dangerous for me to comment on this, but Melanie deserves combat pay at this point. I will say this, the first 8 or 9 years that I served as your county attorney, work sessions were on board days.
Right.
And, I mean, I don't recall, occasionally we had to tell consultants, sorry, we're not going to hear you today, or, it's going to be another hour, but in light of what the chairman just pointed out about how important it is, obviously, for you all to give direction to staff at these meetings, I just want to point out that I've been through this process now a couple of years where we're trying to move from Monday to Thursday to
Herd the
Tuesday
cats.
to Wednesday, and it just doesn't work,
Right.
really. And I just think if you want to try going back and maybe for the first couple of months, have the work sessions on the board day and see how that works. Like Commissioner Zembauer said, we may have to run into a dinner time on occasion. Nobody wants to do that, but we might have to. I'm just thinking, because I can see Melanie being here 3 months from now, and we're having
Still
this
trying
same
to figure out.
conversation.
Sure.
It's just my, again, I'm the interim, so I'm just throwing this out. But that's just my view.
I think there's a lot of merit to that. I think that on the flip side of that coin is that the 5 of us need to commit to keeping our extracurricular conversation to a minimum so that we can get the work done and then get to the work session. Because we tend to beat a horse multiple times. Commissioner Zembauer and then Commissioner Herr.
I don't disagree. We should keep it on point, on topic. All of us, including myself, sometimes find ourselves having the need to say something that really doesn't really need to be said. At the end of the day, I reflect upon something I brought to this board when I was the chair that was done in Palm Beach County, when you're talking about trying to keep people on point and trying to keep consultants who are here to talk to us or give us, that they have a very rigid schedule, which I initially thought was, I don't know how they do that, but they stay on point. Their agenda items get 1 hour maximum, all in. That's presentation, board discussion, public input. At the end of that hour, it's the next agenda item. And the reason they went to that when I reached out to them was many of the same things that we struggle with, but the same things being said over and over and over and over and over for 2 hours, which bring no further information or evidence before us for consideration. But we do it out of an abundance of caution to let everybody have their 3 minutes in the sunshine to say the same thing the last 35 people said. Just a thought.
So I'm going to weigh in on behalf of all of the consultants that are out there, because I was one for a very long period of time, and I have sat up in 3026 for a period of 10 hours with a team of 4 on the payroll, waiting for you all to come up. I believe one year it was 3 times in a row, only to have the 4th meeting have to happen in 18 minutes because people needed to go to lunch. And so when I came onto this board, I was very vocal about the fact that that is a level of disrespect to consultants that's simply not acceptable. However, I do agree with you that if disciplined, because that's the word that we're missing, if disciplined in terms of running the meeting, accepting the chair's running of the meeting, which was not always the case, right? We tend to talk over, and we just need to bring a discipline to this board that would be expected on behalf of the citizens to bring us to the next scheduled item. I don't think there's anything we can do to cut public comment short, although public comment is not an opportunity for a dialogue back and forth. I think that was on us, not on them. It's us keeping the things moving along, and I realize that as I'm talking, we're not keeping this item moving along. But I think we can do it on the day. I am not in favor of us leaving consultants sitting in a holding tank all day long and then trying to cut their contract short in terms of how much we pay them and expecting us to get good service. Shouldn't happen.
Commissioner Constantine.
For the sake of not extending this, I just wanted to say that it seems to me like we have done before, and as our county manager, I think, alluded to, interim county manager alluded to, is that if we, and it would take care of Commissioner Herr's concern, if we do work sessions when we need to do work sessions on commission days in the morning, and we do everything else in the afternoon. This consent agenda does not take a long time if we don't get involved in it. So doing, and we tried it before and it worked, and others had different ideas, and that's fine. But if we do work sessions in the morning, on days that we are going to meet as commissioners anyway, commission meeting days, if we need to, I'm not saying we always will need to, but if we need to, then we're restricting just to the commission days, and I think that would work out. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, well, here's my commitment. Melanie and I are going to go sit down again, and we're going to look at the calendar again, and we're going to look at the dates that everyone is absolutely unavailable. We will take into consideration the possibility of trying to restrict these to commission days only and looking at half-days where we can, recognizing that there will be the need to have some longer than half-day adventures on this schedule. And we'll circulate a second draft to your offices. Is that...
Would it be appropriate if we also email you our dates so that way Commissioner Constantine can weigh in on the dates that he won't be here?
That would absolutely be appropriate, and
I'll make that commitment that I will send that out.
that would be incredibly helpful.
Okay.
And I did want to share that there are maybe possibly 2 budget work sessions that we do need to keep on those days, and it's the third Tuesday, because they are all day, and you won't have an opportunity to complete them. So they are on here already. We just need to have them then.
Sounds great. Okay.
All right.
Melanie, do you
Thank
think,
you.
are we in a good place for now?
I think I got it.
All right, great.
I mean,
Thank
can I
you.
ask something? Do you think you could commit to like 11 to 12 for a work session on a board day? I mean, could we commit to a hard stop and be done, or?
Well, I'd like to explore Commissioner Constantine's idea of doing the morning session of a work session and then doing our consent agenda in the afternoon, and maybe pushing those just shifting that meeting to later in the day. That's something to think about. I'd like to look at what that may
And
look
I would
like.
tell you, I thought of that as well. I just wanted, for the public, sometimes it gets confusing if we, unless we stay on that pattern of always doing it, it gets confusing if they don't know when to come.
I understand
And I just wanted to share.
That's why we
this.
publish an agenda online and put it
I
there.
know, but, you know. All
Things
right.
change.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have one more item. We have a county attorney's briefing.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. I'll make this quick, being the only thing between you and lunch right now. A quick briefing and update on the Sunrail Quiet Zone application. Originally, it came to you in 2020. The initial application was filed, and authorization at that time was given for the chairman to execute. The application was amended and resubmitted in around 2021. We've just gotten it back. There's been additional changes. We are about to file the second amended application. It needs to be filed by the end of the year. And again, we're still under the original authorization from 2020.
Move
so I
to
just
approve the
wanted-
request.
Second.
Okay. I just wanted consensus that the current chairman can sign the application under the original
Of course
authority.
you can.
Move to approve the request.
Okay, got the authority.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes
Madam
unanimously.
Chair, I would like to have a follow-up question, not today, but at some point, I'd like to have an update, either individually or as a group, because this was all supposed to be done a year or so ago, the quiet zones. It did not happen for reasons we're not going to get into today, but I'd like to know when they're going to be completed and the cost associated with them.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, sounds great. Anything else before we recess for lunch?
I was going to bring up a work session, but no.
All right, we will reconvene at 1:30.